Our subject today is wheel cleaning. Cleaning of the tires and cleaning of the wheel wells. Okay, I've got my Meguiar's wheel brightener. I've got it put in a container that's already pre-labeled so it doesn't get confused with other products. It's got the dilution ratio already on the bottle. Very convenient. Now this is a concentrate like many of the other products that I recommend, specifically Meguiar's. And once again, why do I recommend Meguiar's? They're not the only product, but it's a name that's common. They've been around for like 100 years. Most people are familiar with them. They make quality products. So wheel cleaner, dilute it 4:1. Fill up to this line with water. Fill the rest with concentrate. Because I go through so much of this, I actually pre-mix it in a 5-gallon bucket, whatever you want to call it. And I can just fill these up daily because I use so much of it. Okay, so if you are a driveway detailer or you are a Johnny car owner and you're looking to take care of your own car, what I do is I just wet the area below the tire. So what's going to happen is I spray this and it's going to create a black mess wherever you're at. So if you have a mat you want to throw down, it's totally up to you. Now the good news is after you've done cleaning your wheels and tires and you roll the car away, there will be a mark. Simply take a little bit of this, agitate it, hose it off, totally gone. No big deal. So I've got my brush. This is an amazing tool, Daytona Speedmaster. Brush is way cool. Well, let's start with the inside. First off, it's metal on the inside, so you can actually bend it and it'll retain its shape. So if you want to get behind these spokes, you can bend it. Normally I don't do that. I'll show you what I do, but back to the tool. It's got a rubberized tip, so when you shove it in and out of the wheel, it's not going to do any damage to the wheel. Got a little guard for your hand so you don't, screw up your knuckles. So it's really a great tool. One of the better things is it actually lasts. Got all these little bristles that are completely safe. They will not scratch. I've been using this particular brush on a daily basis for over a year. So if you're a driveway detailer or just a Johnny car owner, it's going to last you for years and years. That's based on that you actually like the inside of your wheel clean and detailed. Discussion about acid. If you have all these visions of acid being poured on something and it just bubbles up and blisters and just burns a hole in it, it's just not the deal. I keep these in plastic bottles. So do the math. If I can put it in a plastic bottle, and if I can, and I'll take my glove off, I mostly just use it to protect my hand so it doesn't get so dirty. So with that said, let me add a little disclaimer. This chemical will react to bare metal and bare aluminum. It will create a chemical reaction. Will it damage? Well, it depends on what you mean by damage. So in the case of wheels, this wheel is completely clear coated. This can be used on chrome wheels, but this is a factory OE wheel. It's got clear coat all over it, which is essentially the same clear coat that's on your paint, which I can spray this right on the paint and I know it's not going to do any damage. It's not going to stain it, it's not going to streak it. No damage whatsoever, okay? Why? Because it's safe. There's no chemical reaction to plastic. But the calipers and the rotor, okay, if I get this rotor wet, which I will do, it's going to rust. That is normal because it's bare metal. So, in fact, that's a good illustration. So when I clean these wheels and I hose it off and I dry them off, this rotor will be completely rusted. That's normal. The first time you get in the car and you drive away and you tap the brake pedal, it's going to clean that rotor off completely clean. Second point, brake calipers, they're not all created equal. Some of them are powder coated, like on the Porsches, the high-end sports cars, they'll actually be powder coated a color, typically a red or a yellow. Completely safe for it because once again, it's safe for paint, it's safe for clear coats. So to me, the trade-off is worth it because this chemical is a superior way of cleaning your wheels because it will react to the brake dust and clean it very easily. Now the one thing with this brush is if you're trying to go fast, which I usually am, you can get a lot of sling. As you pull it out, these bristles will flip back and sling you and get you dirty. As you can see my knee already, it's dirty. So I'm trying to rush because I don't want this chemical to dry. Once it dries, you have to reactivate it by getting it wet. And because I'm a professional detailer, detailing means that all about the details. So I got to get up in here and get this wheel all clean all the way through. Now what I do is I reach behind these spokes and I just get them with my fingers without taking the time to bend my little handy wheel brush to get behind them. Now this is the second brush you will need to get the face. They make special wheel lug or lug nut tools that you can get for around here, but I found that most of those break down after just a few uses and they become just a waste of time and money. Clearly, let me hose this off. Now right here you can see this is tire dressing from the dealership. This is the first time I've done this car. My customer just got this. This is just when they dress the tires, they got it on the wheel, and that's what that's about. And once again, this chemical doesn't even touch that because it's not a grease cutter. Okay, it's a chemical that will react to brake dust. It's very effective at removing it. If you had a pressure washer, you wouldn't even have to scrub this. You could literally just spray it and hose it with your pressure washer and it would come clean. But because I keep things simple and the trade-off to carry around a pressure washer and my own water is, in my world, because I have a pretty unique niche, and most of the time I'm at people's houses servicing their high-end cars, payoff isn't worth it for me. And I assume that most driveway detailers are just going to have a garden hose with a trigger nozzle on it. So that's why I'm showing you what I use. Sometimes between the brake caliper and the wheel, there's literally a 1/4 of an inch clearance. So I have to use this brush, which is even thinner. Now this you will not be able to get online. I had to configure this myself. I wrapped it with tape so it wouldn't do any damage. For most of you, this will be ideal. These two tools will be the only tools you need. Okay, the wheel is clean. Now I use my Meguiar Super Degreaser and I degrease the tire because it has dressing on it. And this is why I'm not a fan of oil-based or silicone-based dressings. You know, those special dressings that are supposed to last forever, and that's another marketing moment that people become fixated on because they think, oh, I want something that lasts the longest. Yes, does it nourish the tire, blah, 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 yeah, but for the most part, most of you are going to dress your tires because you like the way it looks. But don't become fixated on buying a product that lasts the longest because that's going to create a problem for you because it's going to be difficult to remove and you want to remove it each time so that you can apply a new layer each time. Because what will happen is if it's a silicone base or an oil based dressing that's resistant to breaking down, and typically you'll find them with the ultra shiny formulations, is that you will not be able to clean off the dressing each time. The dirt will accumulate in the seams. Over time you'll get this brown, grunge, sloppy, greasy layer on the tire that it'll be so difficult to remove. So I'm a fan of water-based dressing. Now wheel wells, I will shoot some degreaser up in the wheel well. You can use a wheel well brush to scrub it. These wheel wells are actually coated or made with like a felt type padding material. That's the latest and greatest when it comes to these high-end cars. Your car probably is just metal, and so the degreaser and a brush will work ideal inside that. This felt stuff, they probably do it so it stays looking black most of the time and maybe as a little bit of a sound insulator. At this point, I'm going to use my leaf blower because I don't carry a big air compressor with me. If you have one at home, good for you. If you're a professional detailer or want to be one, don't overthink it. Just get a leaf blower, blow this off, wipe it down, and you're done. You're good to go. Okay, I wanted to zoom in so you could see. You see the rust on the rotor. That is called the brake rotor, and that in here is called the brake caliper. Anyhow, so we have our rust going on. The wheel is 99% perfect right now. All I'm going to do, I've already detailed the inside of this, so the inside is perfect. I'm just going to pull forward, apply the brakes, put in reverse, make sure no one's behind me suddenly, apply the brakes, pump them a few times so as to really grab them. And then I'm going to get out. And this is what I do at the end of my detail session anyways. And now we have the same brake rotor, perfectly clean. All the brake dust is off of it. And occasionally this will be thick enough, the layer of rust that accumulates, that now there'll be a dusting of brake dust around the wheel. So that's why I do that first before I completely finish this wheel, even though probably at this angle and on the video it will look 100%. I can still see a view, or I can still see a view trace marks that are not 100% perfect. Now that I've broken off the rust off the rotor, now I can finish the wheel to 100%. What I want to highlight here, if you've noticed that the rotor is completely rusted, as I pointed out, that's a simple reaction of water to bare metal. But this caliper is what I really wanted to show, because you can see a little bit of rust inside here, and the rest of, because this is just a cast metal caliper piece with some painted and clear coated covers over it, hence the AMG. So for the most part, 90% of this caliper from a viewing distance looks fine. But as I was saying, that acid will react to bare metals, and in this case we have the caliper that shows some signs of rust. And as I said in my other videos, I had one customer over the past 25 years that have ever even noticed that. As a rule, it's just not an issue. Most people really do not have a discerning eye or a critical eye to know that. If that is problematic in your world, then yes, that's where you're going to go with a wheel cleaner. And it doesn't have to be pH balanced, by the way. That's still a bunch of BS. You just find a wheel cleaner that is generic. It's a retail product, and it will say it's safe for all types of wheels.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and